மருத்துவர் அமலோபநாதன் அவர்கள் சமீபத்தில் ஒரு மெடிக்கல் ஜேர்னலில் ஒய் தமிழ்நாடு அப்போசஸ் நீட்டுன்னு சொல்லி அது வந்து A4 சைஸில் ஒரு 4 பக்கம் வரும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். அதை அது ஒரு பீர் ரிவ்யூடு இன்டர்நேஷ்னல் மெடிக்கல் ஜேர்னலில் வந்திருக்கு. மெடிக்கல் எவிடன்ஸ் அப்படின்னு சொல்கிற ஒரு ஜேர்னலில் வந்திருக்கக்கூடிய ஒரு பீர் ரிவ்யூடு ஆர்டிக்கிள், ஒரு வெல் டாக்குமெண்டட் ஆர்டிக்கிள். எல்லா டைமென்ஷன்ஸ் ஆஃப் நீட் நம்ம எதுக்கு தமிழ்நாடு அப்போசஸ்ன்றதை சொல்லக்கூடியது. என்னை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் அந்த 4 பக்கங்களை நம்மால் தமிழ்லையும் மற்ற இந்திய மொழிகள்லையும் அதை மொழிபெயர்த்து மக்களுக்கு கொடுக்க முடிந்தால் அது மிக முக்கியமான பணியாக இந்த காலகட்டத்தில் இருக்கும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். ஒரு பெரிய ஆயுதத்தை மருத்துவர் அமலோபநாதன் அவர்கள் தந்திருக்கிறார். அவருக்கு நான் இந்த நேரத்தில் நன்றி சொல்ல விரும்புகின்றேன். நேரடியாக நான் சொல்ல வந்தது என்னன்னு கேட்டிங்கன்னா, நான் 2 நாளுக்கு முன்னாடி லீடர் ஆஃப் அப்போசிஷன் 10 வருஷம் கழித்து ஒரு பதவி அரசால் அங்கீகரிக்கப்பட்டிருக்கிறதுனால அந்த லீடர் ஆஃப் அப்போசிஷன் மிஸ்டர் ராகுல் காந்திக்கு அவருடைய மெயிலில், அஃபீஷியல் மெயிலில் ஐ ஹவ் சென்ட் எ லெட்டர். வாட் ஐ டோல்ட் him in the letter is that now Mr. Akhilesh Yadav is saying one nation, one demand, ban NEET. It comes from Akhilesh Yadav of Uttar Pradesh. We are struggling throughout India regarding the irregularities. NEET itself is an irregular one. NEET has not come legally. I say NEET has not come legally. Many people can say that the court has directed. Many things many people can say. But I am very clear that NEET hasn't come legally. It has come by misleading the court. It has come by misleading the Standing Council of the Parliament, Health and Family Welfare. It had come by throwing into the dustbin Professor Ranjit Roy Chowdhury Committee and the 92nd Parliamentary Standing Committee. Because Professor Ranjit Roy Chowdhury Committee was appointed by the government headed by Mr. Narendra Modi in 2014. Ranjit Roy Chowdhury Committee never recommended eligibility test. They recommended only a CET, common entrance test. Common entrance test is something different from eligibility test, because eligibility on that date and even today can be fixed only by the University Grants Commission. And under the UGC Act, by the University Grants Commission, it is said 10+2 is the qualification for higher education. That is UGC regulation. When there is an UGC regulation which says 10+2 is the qualification, you are now introducing an eligibility, but this eligibility is not recommended by Professor Ranjit Roy Chowdhury. Number 2, this Ranjit Roy Chowdhury report was handed over to the Parliamentary Standing Committee. And the Parliamentary Standing Committee said, as you said, a student has to spend 50 lakh rupees. This is a word that they are using. This is a figure that they are using. 50 lakh rupees to get a medical seat. And how can it be? எங்கிருந்து ஏழைக்கு வர்றது அப்படின்றதான் 92 நாடாளுமன்ற நிலைக்குழு 92வது அறிக்கையில் சொல்லுது. அப்போது they identify that only the private medical colleges are collecting more fees. Private medical colleges are involving in irregularities, and they want to control that irregularity. So they are suggesting CMET, Common Medical Entrance Test. There is no word eligibility there. And even for CMET, they say it should be exempted for the states which do not wish to come into the ambit of CMET. So that is the federal spirit. So the expert committee, Professor Ranjit Roy Chowdhury, did not recommend eligibility. 92nd Parliamentary Standing Committee did not recommend eligibility. These 2 reports were handed over to the Supreme Court, a 5-judge bench, when it was hearing Model Dental College. Model Dental College case, the Supreme Court was also discussing about the misgovernance in Medical Council of India. So what are you going to do with the misgovernance? That's a question that the Supreme Court is raising towards the union government. And the union government is giving a sealed cover the 2 reports. And the Supreme Court directed in the Modern Dental College case that the recommendations of the expert committee must be considered by the government. So the Supreme Court direction is to consider the recommendation of the expert committee. Expert committee means here the parliamentary standing committee is also an expert committee, because in every sense it's a technical committee. It is not a political committee. A parliamentary standing committee is a technical committee. And the Supreme Court says the expert committee report has to be considered. Now there is no eligibility in these two reports. Now the government is placing the 92nd Parliamentary Standing Committee in both the houses of Parliament on March 8, 2016. And after placing this Parliamentary Standing Committee, in August, they are issuing an ordinance. An ordinance inserted 10D in the Medical Council of India Act. The ordinance. It is not Dr. Manmohan Singh's government. The ordinance was not brought by Manmohan Singh's government. During Manmohan Singh's government, it was a Medical Council of India regulation which has been struck down by the Supreme Court, stating that it is a subordinate legislation. There are states like Tamil Nadu which have their own legislation which prohibits entrance exam. So a legislation or subordinate legislation, it is the legislation which will survive. That is why the MCI regulation was struck down. That is over by 2013. The 2014, who is coming? Mr. Narendra Modi is coming, and he appointed the expert committee, but the expert committee did not recommend eligibility. When your own committee, a committee appointed by your own government, did not recommend eligibility, why did you borrow this eligibility from a Medical Council of India, which was at that point of time was the most corrupt one? How can the recommendation of a most corrupt body can be called as a historical reform? Mr. Modi says meat is an historical one. For Modi, will the corruption be an historical one? I do not know. He has to tell us. So, in all sense, they have misled the court, they have misled the standing committee, and they have inserted section 10D, and later the Niti Aayog recommended NEET and no cap for private medical colleges, no fee cap for medical colleges. The 92nd Parliamentary Committee wanted fee cap. The expert committee wanted fee cap. But Niti Aayog did not want the fee cap. Niti Aayog said, we need so many doctors, we need so many hospitals, or so many colleges, and if you put a cap, no private people will come inside. Who bothered about that? Niti Aayog. My question is that, who should bother about that? The Parliament of India. The Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha should decide whether the government is going to invest or private is going to. Who is Niti Aayog? Tell me. Who is Niti Aayog? Now, Niti Aayog recommendation, the Niti Aayog's report is given to the Parliamentary Standing Committee. In the 109th report, you will find various facts are suppressed before the Parliamentary Standing Committee. The Health Secretary of India says to the Parliamentary Standing Committee that NEET has already been successfully implemented. It is said by the Health Secretary of India before the Standing Committee. But at that point of time, there are 2 bills from Tamil Nadu pending for presidential assent. This has not been discussed in the Parliamentary Standing Committee. The opposition from the state of Tamil Nadu is not there in the minutes of the Parliamentary Standing Committee. And there are struggles, not only in Tamil Nadu, but in Tamil Nadu it has taken by the political parties also, though everybody know that Tamil Nadu is struggling. But in some states, the students were struggling. The parents were struggling. So these struggles were not reported to the Parliamentary Standing Committee. That is what I say, it is suppressed. And now in the 109th report, you will find one Dr. Kamaraj from Tamil Nadu, Kallakurichi. He has given his dissent note, and the dissent note is part of 109th Parliamentary Standing Committee report. So in violation of constitutional provisions, in violation of academic freedom of universities, in violation of the powers of the state government to establish their own universities, their own colleges and regulate them, the NEET has been introduced. Now, my humble plea before all people outside Tamil Nadu, from other states, including the leader of the opposition, is that when we are fighting against irregularities that we have to do, that we have to fight, we should see that National Testing Agency is totally disbanded. That should be the struggle. Tamil Nadu's specific demand is that there is a bill pending before the president. It has not gone to the president. It is in the Home Affairs, Ministry of Home Affairs. The bill has been passed under the provisions of the Constitution, Article 246. When a bill is passed under Article 246, when it is listed, it is entry 25 of list 3. When it is in a list 3 subject, then under 254 clause 2, president has to give an assent. See, 254 clause 2 is specifically written if there is a particular state which doesn't want the law that covers the entire nation, then to give a legal status, to make that law enforceable in that particular state, a provision in the Constitution is made. That is 254 clause 2. You cannot say, if one state asks what I can do, why other states are not? The Constitution will make us know that India has got different states, and there may be one state which do not want. If one state doesn't want, the constitutional makers wanted the President of India to give the assent. That is why that provision has been given. So at all India level, I humbly plead that we should place this demand also. The state of Uttar Pradesh must state that Tamil Nadu bill should get the president's assent. Gujarat should say the Tamil Nadu bill should get the president's assent. That is cooperative federalism, what the people of India can do as a movement. What the government is doing is something different. We have to force the government to do. So I want the leader of opposition in Lok Sabha and in the Rajya Sabha and all the political parties to insist both inside and outside the Lok Sabha for the presidential assent, the bill that has been passed by the State Assembly in Tamil Nadu and which is pending the presidential assent in Delhi. Thank you.
உன் கடவுளை விட, உன் சாஸ்திரத்தை விட, உன் முன்னோரை விட, உன் வெங்காயம் விளக்கமாத்தை விட உன் அறிவு பெருசு, அதை சிந்தி.